But just note that Ben has a red line here. That red line is the line of sight from the camera to the high mountain.
According to Google Earth on May 14th, 2023, this is what the sunset should have looked like on the same pathway.
Oh, hold on there, Ben. Why the hell are you not above the red line? Why are you to the north of it? Are you trying real hard to make the sun set behind the mountains there, Ben? I bet you tried it where you were supposed to do it, over above that red line there, and the sun didn't set where you needed it to. Hey, Ben, so you just moved it to here. Well, that's a little deceptive, isn't it, Ben? Now, what if someone like Brian's Logic decides to make a globe Earth smacking video using your video as a source, and he doesn't check your lack of honesty? That's going to be embarrassing.
This is what the sunset should have looked like on the same pathway.
Yes, what it should have looked like when it was on the same pathway. But you're not on the same pathway, are you, Ben? You're a long way off of it. Well, you know what else gives a distorted view of the sunset behind the mountains? You, Ben. By purposely placing the camera so far north of the line that you just described as the line of sight from Israel, you distorted the view. Didn't you, Ben?
Regardless, compare Google Earth sunset with the actual video. I have them here on top of each other.
No, you don't, Ben. You're faking one of them to match the other. Not good, Ben. That angle, Ben. But you're not looking from that angle, Ben. You moved. You had to move to make it line up, didn't you?
And the sunset angles match as well.
The sunset angles match as well? Really, Ben? Well, I have a feeling that many of my subs have already spotted the oopsies you made, Ben. You see, 296 is not 292.4. You think you're going to get away with saying 292.4 is the same as 296, Ben? Well, that's over 3 degrees different. And how much is 3 degrees of angular size in the Shimshon video, Ben? Well, we all know the sun is about half a degree wide, at all times too, by the way, but let's just ignore yet another inconvenient fact, shall we? So where is Crete in the Shimshon's video? The sun angle is at 292.4, and Crete, according to Ben's own Google map, is 296. So 3 degrees is 6 suns to the right. Like this. Oh my, that's a lot of stretching the truth there, Benny boy. Well, as Ben has been less than honest and just made angles fit where he wanted them to and totally ignored the actual facts, someone called Brian's Logic. Finally, we get back to Brian. Well, Brian just assumed that Ben was right, and I guess he never imagined his good mate would be capable of such fabrication and lying to maintain his globe-busting delusions. Brian didn't check. Brian never does check. Now, I wonder if Brian, had he seen that 3-degree discrepancy, what would he have done? Would he have calculated what the angular size of 3 degrees at 616 miles would be? It seems to be about a whole island off, Brian.
So that means he's viewing Crete 616 miles away. So I did another one here. So you can see this here is Crete. And this is not the most clear.
There is very little to be gained or learned by watching the rest of Brian's video. He does the usual thing he's been doing for the last few months, trying to make some absurd sounding large scary figures to scare the children. Now, if Brian had spent that time cross-checking Ben's video, he might have seen Ben's deception, and he might be avoiding this whole mess he's gotten himself into again, and all the comments that he's about to cop.
So, using SunCalc, his observation and the day of observation, we can see that the middle of the sun touches the horizon when the sun was seen in the direction of 292.46 degrees from north, from the geographic north. This means slightly north of west. You can easily check this for yourself. Just find that minute where the altitude is the closest to 0. Then the azimuth gives you the direction of sunset. Heading over to Google Earth and drawing a line from the observer in the direction of 292.46 degrees, we can see that this straight line hits not Crete, not even the little island south of Crete, but it almost hits Sicily. It passes north of Tunisia, pretty close, past this funny looking island called La Galita, all the way to Guardamar del Segura in Spain, a whopping 3,275 kilometers from Israel. Oh my, this is definitely a world record. So it does not hit great at all. But well, speaking about land masses that are actually moving to make it work, the shaking of the camera during the observation was very apparent and a bit annoying, so I tried to stabilize it so that we could have a better view of the silhouette. And what I noticed was that the so-called island, compared to the platform, was actually moving to the right. And I used the oil platform as my reference, which was actually not easy since the compression of the video kept the left of the oil rig stable while the right of the platform was shaking. Nonetheless, it became painfully obvious that this was a moving island. Or was the platform moving? Or was the observer moving? One thing that we know for sure was moving was actually this floating island in the front over here that is obscuring the top of the sun. I'm not really sure what island that is called, but I would call it a cloud. No joke. Everybody understand that this here is just a bunch of clouds moving to the left? And although Shimshon used an infrared filter, that just isn't magic, and you can't see through everything. You can see definitely further and more, but not through everything. This cloud clearly obstructed the top of the sun while moving to the left. Maybe this so-called island, this silhouette in the back, is a cloud too? Clouds have looked like mountains before. Seriously, they do, and I have been confused while walking in the mountains, like, is that a mountain or a cloud? Here, there's one image that is a mountain. Can you guess which one it is? Kidding, they're all clouds, but clouds look like mountains, sometimes, and they move. That's what clouds do. So I checked several sources of satellite imagery for that day to see if there were any clouds in the neighborhood, and there were a lot, and they moved in the correct direction. For the observer looking at the sunset, they appeared to move from left to right, just as in the footage. And even the infrared images showed a lot of clouds, so meaning that even with an infrared filter, the clouds would be visible. But we already knew that, since these clouds, that everybody agrees upon are clouds, were plainly visible. And when I connect the observer with the island south of Creta, using a straight line, forgive me, straight lines on a flat map, I know, but then if we do that, we can see that there are many candidates for being our island lookalike. This one here, for example, literally casts a shadow exactly at our observer here at the shore of Israel.
Maybe you've noticed that there are two directions in these clouds. One in this case is to the east, but one is to the southeast. So it's not uncommon that two different layers of clouds move in two different directions. If we have a closer look, for example, over here, we can clearly see that. And this is happening over the Mediterranean Sea too during the observation. Even though it's less clear here in the Mediterranean Sea, we can observe that it is happening. And that of course explains then why the clouds, probably lower, move to the left, while these other clouds in the back move to the right.